Hello lovelies, how are we all? I was only going to do a video this week where I didn't speak because it's been a little bit of a tough week, but if you've been here a while, you'll know that this week is 1 year since the great flood at my place, and that kind of set off a series of events, to be honest, that have been one thing after another. So if you want to go back and look at that video, it's about the 13th of June 2023. And then from there, my husband got sick. He was in hospital and we had to wait for a specialist appointment, which we only just got this week, actually the end of last week, which I did post about, and that was not a very good diagnosis. And so I just want to touch on what I've been doing to try and handle all of these things, which isn't a good thing. So I'm basically eating my feelings. So I'm going to the cupboard if I can't sort of process things, and I'm just eating and eating and eating. And I don't know if any of you do the same thing, but it's not good. So I've probably put on about 6 kilos, which is a stone in the old way of looking at it. And I don't feel great, to be honest. So I'm starting on a new walking regime where I'm getting out with Buddy at least an hour a day. I really need to do an hour and a half to get my 10,000 steps, but I am doing an hour at the moment and I'm feeling better. But I still need to process a lot of things. And so what I've started to do is art, but I write on the page, and then what I'm doing is covering it over with some art. But I'm just going to take you through now and show you how I wrote on the page and then I covered it up with the art. And of course, it's in this beautiful journal that is my personal journal at the moment, full of such beautiful things that I've been working on. And I'll eventually do a flip through on this. I have kind of briefly shown you this journal in a couple of videos now. But all right, so let's get to the video and I'll show you the whole process from start to finish. This personal journal of mine is actually a repurposed old book, but it is really old and fragile, so I always gesso the pages first. Alright, so while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm just going to bring this over. It's my little box that I keep all my postcards in and bits and pieces. There's also some photographs. So this is where I'm sort of searching for the image that will inspire me today to go over the top of my morning page. And my writing, and just something that, I want to do the art with today. So I try and keep an open mind. Love these tribal ones, but and I also really love these black and white ones. Oh, look at her, she's actually looking right at the camera too. I love all these old postcards and photographs. I just love them. I collect them and I'm always buying bits and pieces wherever I see them, really, secondhand shops or off of eBay. I think I really love her. She's just talking to me, looking straight at the camera. This is where what Julia Cameron has been saying kind of kicks in, because once you start writing, you might write the same thing over and over to start with, but then all of a sudden your mind sort of unlocks and you start to write other things and you start to find a way through what you're feeling and putting it down onto the page. And then if you just keep writing, you'll find that this is where the peace and the calm and your mind starts to slow down, and you start to think, okay, I've got it out of my head now and onto the page. And then after that you can start doing the art over the top, but at least you've managed to get it out of your head. Next, I'm just picking out my favourite colours, the things that I think I might want to include on the page. Yeah, that one didn't make the grade. I've gone for darker colours, more sort of sienna and ochres and greys, things that I think are going to now go with this photograph. And now what you do is just get started. Put some colour on the page, get yourself one of these little spatulas that you can see there, and just start spreading the paint around. Now because I've already gessoed the page first before I wrote on it, the paints will adhere really well. So just start moving the paint around the page and start covering over the writing. All that ugliness that was in your head, you're now covering up, so you've got it out of your head onto the page, and you're now going to make some beautiful art over the top. And you just keep adding the colours wherever you like until you start to see something of what you want to make, like how you want your art to look over the top of the writing. To be honest, I really love this process right about here, because I start to feel safe again. My words are basically hidden, so whatever I've written on the page is now a secret again. So I've got it out of my own head, but nobody else can read it. So I really love moving the paint around and getting to this stage. Now, do you guys have a favourite colour of paint? I don't know what it is about this paint. It's called Olive by Kaiser, but I just love the colour of it. Now, I sort of gravitate towards an orange or brown sort of palette a lot, but this green really resonates with me, so I definitely want to include it in this spread. You should do that too. If you have a favourite colour and you're having a particularly low day, use that colour because it really will lift your spirits. This whole process is really intuitive. You just keep playing, moving the paint around, doing what feels right to you. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Alright, if it looks a mess, don't worry about it, because you keep moving, you keep adding layers, and you'll see what I get up to next. Alright, I'm moving that out of the way so it can dry. Now I really don't want the square of this photograph because it's all just too much. So I'm just going to cut her out so that I've just got her outline only. And I'm being really careful to leave the feathers at the top of her headdress. I've got an idea for those. Next is just some simple embroidery thread, and I just want to do some slow stitch just to add a little bit of interest to the side of her here, so that when I attach her to my art, it's just another little layer sitting there. Now remember the John Lennon book that I took to Bali with me with all the bits and pieces in it? So I'll just go back through that book and get some pieces that I think I want to add to this page to give it a little bit more depth. And I end up with these borders at the bottom, which I really like, so I glue those on. Love how they're looking down the bottom there. It's just building the layers, building the layers, building the layers. Yep, love that. So leave them to dry, and then I'm adding this at the top. Don't know why I love that, but I just do, and I just go with it because that's what this piece of art is about, not thinking too much. So I'm really loving how this is looking. Everything's dry. I put my little girl on, and I just think she kind of gets lost on the page there. So I'm trying to think of a solution, and I find this bit of ripped off cardboard from my last project. If you saw me make my tea bag journal, this was the piece of cardboard that I ripped off to do the cover. So what I've got in mind to do is to glue this down and then make that bit of cardboard a little bit darker, so that when she sits on it, it's a little bit darker behind her and she sort of comes out of the page. So that's what I'm doing now. Beautiful. So I'm making sure that's right on the crease, get it stuck down, and then I'm going to leave that to dry before I add my paint to it. Alright, this is really taking shape now. So now I'm going to add the black that I want to go behind my little girl, and I just start playing with the paint and the spatula again. So no agenda, I'm just adding the darkness in that I want now, and then I bring it across the page as well and just keep building the layers. So here I want to keep bringing my little girl back across, seeing how I think she looks against the black. Do I need to add more paint? And I just keep going backwards and forwards until I decide that there's enough paint on that little bit of cardboard for how I want it to look. And don't forget to have fun. If you want to add circles, if you want to do dabs of paint, just keep going until it looks how you want it to look. Alright, now I'm adding another layer. This is like a fine gauze. It's in like a dark brown or black, and I'm just going to add that in there too. It's just another layer, and that will sit lovely behind my little girl. Trust me, this took a lot of glue to get this stuck on. And then I just leave it to dry. Time to get my little girl stuck down. So I'm starting to feel what my page is going to look like when it's finished now, and I'm really liking how that looks. So I'm going to use my Mod Podge and get her stuck to the page. Now I'm really happy with how she looks, but we need to add a little bit of magic. So from here on in, we're going to use some texture paste, and we're going to add some paint to it, mix it up, and then we're going to do around the edges and add some real depth to this picture. And this is no different to when you're in school. You just keep adding a bit of texture paste, a bit of colour, a bit of texture paste, a bit of colour until you get the texture that you want or the colour that you want. And that's what I did. Do you love texture paste? I absolutely love it. I love adding it, I love playing with it, and the effects that it leaves behind is just amazing. So watch this as this whole picture now transforms. So there we go. The texture paste is dry now, and it's just added this gorgeous depth to the actual art now. So the next thing we're going to do is add some feathers up the top here. Remember I left her feather headdress cut out? It's because it gave me an idea to actually add some actual feathers into here. So let's have a go at adding those now. Although cute like this, I really need something wrapped around that will hold the feathers together and then stick it down. So yep, like that. But the feathers are actually going to be flat to the page because I have to glue them down. Anyway, check it out. This is what I do. Again, I just want to add a little bit more texture like I did to the edge of the photograph originally. So I'm using the same colour thread and just adding a bit to the headdress as well. A few little stenciled numbers here and there on the page, and we're good to go. Ready for the final reveal. As soon as I saw her, I just thought, you know what? She just doesn't take no nonsense. She just looks straight at you and it's like, so what have you got to say? And so she was the perfect choice. So that's the finished art that I did this week. So let me know how you get on doing your morning pages, then doing your art over the top, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.